like our soldiers, there is an element of post-traumatic stress.
Kenyan police have fired tear gas at people protesting in the capital Nairobi today over the death of blogger Albert Ojwang. Clashes also broke out in downtown Nairobi as unidentified motorcyclists beat up protesters and dispersed them. A video showed some of the motorcyclists carrying whips and sticks. Kenya's police spokesperson could not be immediately reached for comment on the clashes. The 31-year-old teacher and blogger was declared dead earlier this month, just 2 days after he was arrested, with police initially saying he had committed suicide. A new joint United Nations report released by the World Food Programme and the Food Agriculture Organization has warned that people in 5 hunger hotspots around the world face extreme hunger. WFP DRC spokesperson Shelly Takral says that the latest hunger hotspots report show that Sudan, Palestine, South Sudan, Haiti and Mali are hotspots of highest concern.
You know, the statistics are just dreadful. Wasting 45 million, stunting 148 million, and children with obesity 37 million. So when you have got countries in the world and again, there's a very small margin. I mean, Afghanistan's up there. You have got severe hunger. In Sudan, 1 in 3 children suffer from acute malnutrition. In DRC, 1 in 4. So this is really troubling for humanitarian workers globally.
Dozens of Palestinians have been killed in Gaza in yet another deadly incident surrounding aid distribution. Witnesses and rescuers say that Israeli forces killed more than 51 people and injured over 200. The IDF has admitted it fired when a crowd approached an aid truck that had got stuck. It said that it regretted any harm to people. The BBC's Rushdi Abwalof has the details.
Thousands of people were gathered near a warehouse belonging to the WFP. Near to it is a community kitchen. People were gathering, huge crowd, as some of the people describe it to me. We're waiting to get the aid, and suddenly they said that there was an Israeli drone attack in the area, followed by Israeli tank. The place itself is about 400-500 meters from a village called Beni Suhaila, where Israelis are doing a big military operation for the last few weeks.
To recap the top story, the 4th group of the South African soldiers returning from the SADC peacekeeping mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo has arrived at the Bram Fischer International Airport in Bloemfontein. The soldiers are expected to begin with their demobilization program at the Tembe military base. For any news stories that you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I am Norutando Butelezi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
In our sports headline, Kenya Police Football Club, Gor Mahia and Nairobi United may miss out on the Continental Football due to unresolved license fees issues. And chairperson of the National Professional Boxing Promoters Association, Ayanda Madidi, says they would like to see business assist the growth of the sport. I'll be back with these and other stories at the bottom of the hour.
It is a very good afternoon to you, Sudan. Good afternoon, Tunisia, Mali, Togo. Good afternoon to you, Burundi, Cameroon, Gambia. Good afternoon, Sudan. Good afternoon, Morocco. Good afternoon, Africa. Welcome to Africa in Business on Channel Africa. I'm Tami Ngubeni. This is where you get the African perspective. It's where we meet to look at the latest in news, sport and business. On our radar this afternoon, we'll take a look at Fitch, who have upgraded Ghana's ratings to B- from restricted default, with Ghana having paid a lot of its bilateral official debt as well as restructuring its Eurobond debt, having only $2.6 billion still outstanding. We'll find out and delve deeper into the factors that have led to this upgrading. Also this afternoon, a look at the World Bank's turnaround. The board in the year 2013 had agreed to ban funding of nuclear energy projects in developing countries. What are the factors that have led to this turnaround, and what impact is that going to have on renewable and sustainable energy on the African continent? And in our SME feature this afternoon, we take a look at the impact of AI on small and medium enterprises. Welcome to it. This is Africa in Business.
Connecting Africa to the world. Africa in Business with Tami Ngubeni brings you the latest insights on Africa's economy.
We begin here this afternoon with ratings agency Fitch. They've upgraded Ghana's ratings to B-. This is from restricted default. Fitch attributed the improved rating to the successful restructuring of $13.1 billion in Eurobond debt, sustained fiscal consolidation, as well as notable progress in stabilizing the macroeconomic environment. The agency also pointed to falling inflation, a strengthening Ghana cedi, and recovering investor confidence as clear signs of economic turnaround. The country's finance minister, Dr. Kasil Atoforso, says the upgrade is a key milestone in Ghana's recovery journey. For more on this, we joined this afternoon by Professor of Finance, a chartered economist and barrister at the University of Cape Coast, Professor John Gatse. A very good afternoon to you, Prof. Very good news for Ghana as far as this turnaround is concerned. But I guess the question is, how significant is this upgrade for Ghana's economic recovery? And this is obviously post the debt restructuring.
Well, I think it's significant because it signals that Ghana is doing something notably positive. That is why we have seen a surge in investor confidence. We have also in recent times seen a surge in business confidence. We have seen a commitment towards consolidation, fiscal consolidation, and commitment towards repairing the macroeconomic environment. And all these things point to a direction that is favorable for the country. And with this rating, the signal to our creditors is that we are improving in terms of our ability to pay them when their investment falls due. And so I think we have a package of good statement from this rating.
And what are the specifics, Professor, the specific reforms and specific policies that were key to the improvement in the country's rating?
Well, we have policy towards repairing the damaged power sector governance, and also the governance of our cocoa sector. All these things have seen a sharp positive development after the implementation of some of these policies. We have also seen a calm environment in terms of expenditure. We have also seen a good performance of the currency. So these are things that have actually happened. And we have also seen a renewed, better environment for businesses in terms of payment of taxes. So even in recent time, when there was a 1 cedi levy on petroleum products, and with the development in the global environment, the sensitivity of the government announced that that is being put on hold to steady the environment and to know what effect that will have on the consumers. So that kind of sensitivity towards consumers, sensitivity towards the business environment, the industry, is also very much appreciated in the country.
And there really seems to be some fiscal and macroeconomic stability in Ghana. If we look at inflation, for example, that dropped from 23% in 2024 to 18.4% in May of this year. And this is the lowest that it's been in 3 years. And the forecasts are looking that by the year 2016, it could be at around 10%. What would you attribute to this?
Yeah, so it's all about policy implementation in the fiscal side, in the monetary side, and also coordination with the real sector players. That is what is resulting in all this good performance. But talking about inflation, we are not happy in the country just because inflation has gone down, but also because the drop down in inflation is also inching towards the target set by the IMF, which we were not able to achieve the whole of last year. So it is now clear that we may be achieving that. And then again, we have also seen food inflation also dropping, and then getting into the harvest time for some crops nearing. There is also more promise that inflation will go down further. And again, even though we have not seen significant reduction in policy rate, but we have seen significant buildup of reserve. And then we have also seen more control over our major natural resource, that is gold. We have now set up a gold board that seeks to control and galvanize the management of that resource more effectively, and then telling on the outcomes of economic numbers for the country.
And also the spending cuts that have been implemented by the finance minister, I'm sure have also gone a long way in ensuring that there's strong institutional credibility. But let's focus once again on Fitch's B- rating. It has pushed Ghana closer to investment grade. But what does this rating actually mean for the country in terms of borrowing costs?
Yeah, what it means is that when we inch towards investment grade, which is a much remarkable improvement upon the junk status that we had, there is an assurance to investors, especially in our bonds and lending to the country, that we are now getting more fiscal strength to be able to repay our debt. That's the signal that is sent. Another signal is that we have revived the sinking fund, which, when it's serviced properly, signal to the investors that this is a country that is not only ready to borrow, but it's also ready to put measures in place to amortize the debt when they fall due.
So this upgrade by Fitch is clearly a very positive step for Ghana. But let's focus on the challenges that still do remain. And if you could comment as well on Ghana's economic outlook.
Yes, of course, our growth has picked up significantly to about 5.3% in the first quarter. We still have problems with mobilizing more revenue domestically. That we need to step up more efforts to achieve that. We also need to work on our inclusive growth prospect. That also have to be done. We are here to implement the 24-hour economy policy. We need to work hard to implement that. And then again, above all, we need to work very hard to reshape our agriculture. And then when we are able to do this, I think that will enhance the resource base for the country going forward.
Well, thank you very much, Professor, for your insight this afternoon. Very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That's a Professor of Finance. He's also a chartered economist and barrister at the University of Cape Coast, Professor John Gutsy. He takes us to exactly 18 minutes after 4 p.m.
Get the news, music, and lifestyle of Africa on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Now, a new report by geopolitical risk firm SBM Intelligence warns that the escalating conflict between Israel and Iran could have far-reaching economic consequences for West Africa, including a sharp drop in foreign investment, stalled development projects, as well as rising borrowing costs in countries like Nigeria and Ghana. So what steps then can regional governments take to cushion this blow? Channel Africa's business reporter Innocent Samosa has more.
In its latest report titled The Escalating Iran-Israel Conflict and Its Implications for West Africa, the firm said that the conflict threatens the stability of the region's currencies in West Africa. To unpack the economic risks further, I sat down with certified financial modeling and valuation analyst and business and finance content creator Dennis O'Shea. I began by asking him how exactly could the Israel-Iran conflict trigger capital flight or stall foreign direct investment in West African economies like Nigeria and Ghana. Here's what he had to say.
Okay, concerning with the Ghanaian cedi currently outperforming most global currencies, how exposed it is to external shocks like rising energy prices and reduced investors' confidence. If you notice, some of the two most performing currencies this year have been the Russian currency and the Ghanaian currency. And if you notice, both currencies are hinged to commodities that are very sensitive to geopolitical situations. In the terms of Russia's currency is hinged to its huge oil potentials, and also the Ghanaian currency is hinged to the performance of gold. Gold is performing amazingly well.
Although the most immediate consequences of the hostilities was a sharp spike in global oil prices, with Brent crude jumping over 4% from $69.36 to $74.23 per barrel, the firm said that for West Africa's major oil producers, the surge offers a precarious and temporary reprieve. O'Shea is confident that the two currencies will continue to perform well under these circumstances.
So I see that those currencies will continue to perform well as much as the underlying commodity on which that currency is hinged to is performing super well. I see oil doing super well in the next 3 months, which is a quarter from now. We'll still review on another quarter before the end of the year. And I also see gold doing at all-time highs considering the geopolitical situation in the world right now. So in terms of shocks like rising energy prices is benefiting those currencies, and in terms of reduced investors' confidence, I don't see it happening to those currencies.
But what measures can governments and the region take to mitigate the financial and currency risks linked to prolonged geopolitical tensions in the Middle East? Adeni Ifetayo is the CEO of Megastar Media Communications.
Government, especially those in neighboring or economically linked region, can adopt a mix of both short, medium, and long-term strategies. And these measures aim to ensure microeconomies' stability, maintain investors' confidence, and safeguard national currencies from external shock. What I would say, number one, is they should strengthen foreign exchange reserve. What do I mean? Diversify reserve by holding a mix of USD, Euro, gold, and other safe haven assets to buffer against currency volatility. So don't just depend, like they said, that don't put all your eggs in one basket.
As the Middle East crisis unfolds, West African governments may need to act swiftly and strategically to shield their economies from external shocks and sustain investor confidence. For Channel Africa News, I am Innocent Samosa.
Have you been struggling to find Channel Africa?
Oh yes, where can I find you guys?
Well, you are in luck.
Warning, radioactive zone detected.
Listen to the African perspective on our brand new SABC Plus app. Download the fresh and easy to use app from sabcplus.com or the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. Or just command your phone to find SABC Plus on your phone and check out all this good stuff. And that's where you will find Channel Africa, the African perspective. Oh yes, this is fresh and easy. Africa in Business on Channel Africa.
It is exactly 24 minutes after 4 p.m. Central African time. Now, the World Bank's board has agreed to end a long-standing ban on funding nuclear energy projects in developing countries. This is part of a broader push to meet the rising electricity needs. They decided in the year 2013 to stop financing nuclear power projects. Meanwhile, 12 civil society organizations from across the African continent, as well as in Europe and Russia, have released a report calling for a nuclear-free Africa. The organizations say the nuclear energy lobby undermines and obstructs the need for net zero to be achieved by 100%. Clean, sustainable, renewable energy. For more on this, we joined on the line by Makoma Lekalakala, Director at EarthLife Africa, Johannesburg. A very good afternoon to you. Welcome to Africa in Business. Perhaps let's begin here. If you could take us through some of the concerns that were raised in the rise of false climate solutions in Africa, the nuclear energy misadventure report regarding having nuclear as part of the renewable energy mix. Welcome.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your listeners. Yes, it's very alarming that we find what the so-called nuclear being promoted in Africa, whilst the world is moving away, globally we're moving away from carbon-intensive ways of generating electricity. And we find that there's false information that is being given to some of the African countries by the pro-nukes lobby that says that should these countries have nuclear as part of their energy mix, they'll be able to move towards a low carbon economic development, which is false. Nuclear is carbon intensive. The fuel chain thereof of constructing a nuclear plant is carbon intensive. The waste that comes off the nuclear plant stays radioactive for thousands and thousands of years. And so how can that be a solution to climate change? And also, we don't know what can happen, what should, we don't have the safest way of saving or of protecting a radioactive material that comes out of the nuclear plants. So that is a false solution. It's very dangerous, and it puts Africa in a very dangerous situation. And coming to the World Bank also, the World Bank, the last time they supported a nuclear project was in 1955. That is almost 65 years ago. And now they're coming back, they're saying we want to invest in nuclear energy. But we know that the decision was not an easy decision. There are countries that actually have raised consent and that were saying we are very opposed to nuclear investment. And they have cited concerns about the risk of catastrophic accidents, especially in countries with less experience and expertise in nuclear technology. But from our side, we know that this can pass because of the World Bank environmental and social guardrails. None of what happens around the construction of nuclear power station would pass that. First, there's a secrecy involved, and everyone would need to be part of the decision making as per the social and environmental governance guidelines of the World Bank. And secondly is that the country systems that are going to be used, it is always said Africa is unstable, and we know the kind of wars that, or the internal wars that take place, and also the threat of a nuclear war in the Middle East now. So this decision Bank, it's an irresponsible decision, and as civil society organization, we also are going to take them up on that, same as we have taken up on other fossil fuel projects all over the world.
One thing that you've highlighted in your report is your concern that Africa might just be used as a potential testing ground for business and technology. And you also highlight that it could be used as a battleground for conflicting geopolitical influences in the field of nuclear technology exports. Can you break this down for us? How so?
Yeah, already we see that happening as a geopolitical battleground for different countries. We know that Russia, Rosatom, has had what it called cooperation agreements with a number of African countries, and we see China also coming in. China not actually signing cooperation agreements, also bringing funding, bringing all what is needed to construct a nuclear power plant, and they say we'll do it in a short space of time. We see Korea also having interest in the nuclear power plants. We see the US also coming into. I'm based in South Africa, and around 2017, there was a court case that was relating to the US, which is Westinghouse and Rosatom and the others, because Westinghouse and France, because Westinghouse was saying the contract that was signed by South Africa and France, they need also to come into after a number of years, but that was not happening. But this time I think I'm afraid that there must be something much bigger that is coming, because also the decision by the World Bank was based on geopolitical politics. The US wants to reopen or build a nuclear reactor, and they are doing this because they want to show their might, against Russia, which seems like it's dominating the space currently.
Makoma Le Kalakala, we thank you very much for your insights there, as well as your take on this turnaround by the World Bank, and also just taking you through your concerns as Earth Africa, as well as other lobby groups as well, who are really advocating for zero nuclear energy on the African continent. We thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's Makoma Le Kalakala, Director at Earth Africa in Johannesburg. What's quite key about this turnaround is that once again it reopens Africa's re-entry into the nuclear space and funding thereof. The World Bank saying that this is purely for electricity, generation and provision services for the African continent, in the sense that the needs of the African continent are projected to more than double by the year 2035, and they require an energy annual investment of between $280 billion and $630 billion. But some organizations like Earth Africa saying that there's a whole lot more to this than meets the eye. It's gotten exactly 4:30 Central African time. Let's look at the market indicators with Nosipho Zuma.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Tammy. Good afternoon. In your business indicators this hour, one US dollar is trading at 17.83 in South Africa. In Botswana, it's trading at 13.24. Namibia, it is trading at 17 Namibian dollars 83. The Zambian kwacha is trading at 24 kwacha 18 to the US dollar. In Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 398. In Ethiopia, it is trading at 135 bir 70. 17. In Uganda, it is trading at 3,580 shilling. In Tanzania, it is trading at 2,580 shilling. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,544,028 naira. In Egypt, the dollar is trading at 50 Egyptian pound 17. In Tunisia, it is trading at 2 dinar 927. In Algeria, it is trading at 129 dinar 26. In Morocco, the dollar is trading will cost you 9 dirham 01. In Angola, the dollar is trading at 911 kwanza 83, while the Congolese franc is trading at 2,853 to the US dollar. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,393 and platinum at $1,257 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $74.64 a barrel. Now, for any business news stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I'm Nusi Posoma.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
And for the business of sport, here is Figile Lingwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Tammy. Good afternoon. We begin with the business of sport, and first, it's boxing. Chairperson of the National Professional Boxing Promoters Association, NPBAPA, Ayanda Matiti, says sport, and boxing in particular, is not an easy terrain to enter into without the assistance of business. Matiti is former boxer himself. He says anyone who has the passion to be part of the sport must have a thick skin.
The South African boxing economy, it's quite, it requires no child's play. It requires someone with thick skin. It requires someone who's holistic, someone who would do three things: develop boxing, use sport as an instrument for tourist attraction and social cohesion, but use sport as a business as well. So you've got to master the three, and more often than not, there will always be one or two lacking in the three. So you've got to be tried and tested and mature over time. So you don't need someone who's excited in this game.
Matiti says the sport in the country has the potential of going back to its glory days, but it requires a whole lot of people to contribute in a small way. He says boxers are doing their part. It's now up to other stakeholders.
It will require those that have got passion. It will require those that have got foresight. It will require capital and corporate to also take part in reconnecting boxing with its historical glory in South Africa. And I'm saying now our boxers are playing the part because they are winning these international titles. Our promoters are delivering averagely good events. They could be better. We could do better. Business is not coming into the party. In different parts of the country, government is coming. So we need everybody.
Kenya Police Football Club and other potential CAF representatives, Gor Mahia and Nairobi United, may miss out on the continental football due to unresolved licensing fees issues. Football Kenya Federation FKF President Hussein Mohammed has sounded the alarm on a looming financial challenge that could derail the continental dreams of Kenyan clubs, including those three teams who are set to take part in the CAF Champions League next season. The Federation chief revealed that licensing fees required for participation in CAF competitions are proving to be a major hurdle for the local club. The Federation's annual report for 2024 revealed that over $946,000 was written off due to the failed purchase of an outside broadcast van. Additionally, external legal counsel fees amounted to $2 million as of January 2025, with pending liabilities of approximately $146,000 from cases filed before the FIFA tribunal. Clubs, fans and stakeholders alike now wait anxiously to see if FKF can overcome the financial barriers and ensure that the country is represented in CAF's prestigious tournament. FKF is reportedly exploring payments plans to address the debts and is seeking ways to improve its financial situation. Zimbabwe Highlanders Football Club could soon be pocketing hefty transfer fees for its prodigy Prince Ndlovu after South African Premiership side Orlando Pirates expressed interest in the player. Pirates are racing against European interest to sign Ndlovu, with his club demanding a record-breaking $115,000. Apart from Orlando Pirates, there's a European club that has been monitoring him for some time now. It's Sturm Graz from the Austria Bundesliga. This European connection could tip the scale and inflate the price further. A 15 million fee would rank among the highest for any player moving directly from Zimbabwe Premier Soccer League. Let's end with the athletics. It's the 74-year-old veteran marathon runner Louis Mason completed his 50th Comrades Marathon to raise funds in support of Baina Organization and Legacy Center in George. Mason ran the race with 50 of his closest running mates. He inspired donations of around $3,000, and that is 50,000 South African rand, to donate from businesses and public. Maurice van de Venter is the founder of Legacy Center and is delighted.
I am truly grateful for what Uncle Louis Massane has done for our children. With every step he took on his 50th Comrades Marathon, he raised funds for Legacy Center. The funds are already being used to develop our therapy room, which will give so much joy and pleasure for our children. Thank you very much, Uncle Louis. We appreciate you greatly.
For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Fidel Ngwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Stay ahead with Africa in Business, where Tamengo Beni unpacks your go-to source for Africa's economic trends and development.
It is exactly 4:40 Central African Time. This is Africa in Business on Channel Africa. In our SME feature this afternoon, we take a look at artificial intelligence. As it becomes a permanent feature in the workplace, there are some concerns associated with AI implementation, specifically for small and medium enterprises. Darren Morris, who's a digital strategist and founder of Lucky Hustle, says as AI rapidly reshapes global marketing, many SMEs remain hesitant or underprepared, finding themselves dealing with job displacement due to a lack of skills, as well as the cost of implementing AI technologies. To find out how SMEs can leverage tools like ChatGPT, Meta Ads, and Canva AI without the large budgets or specialized teams, we're joined on the line by Darren Morris, digital strategist and founder of Lucky Hustle. Welcome. Good to have you with us, Darren.
Hey, thank you very much. How's it going?
It's going really well. I mean, talk to us about artificial intelligence and how important it will be for SMEs to embrace the use of artificial intelligence in running their businesses. And perhaps if we can backtrack a little bit, have you found SMEs to be a little bit hesitant in embracing and adopting artificial intelligence? It is, in many ways, still new terrain.
Oh, absolutely. I think, SMEs are extremely hesitant because it is so new, and it almost reminds me of our older generation when the internet came out or computers came out and everybody was used to their lives on, a good old typewriter. And then people were like, no ways, I'm never going to need that electrical machine that I plug into the wall. And now nobody uses a typewriter again. It's a very, very similar example to, just how technology moves. We all had Blackberries and we were all on BBM at one stage and we were all hesitant to move to iPhones. Now the word Blackberry is just a fruit, and it's very much like that. There's hesitation, but if people really just pause and really think about what the purpose of AI is, it can take your business from A to B. If you look at the purpose of AI, really what the reason that technology moves, the reason that things move ahead and we move in certain directions is because things save us time. We don't pay thousands of rands to fly on an airplane because we like being in the sky. It gets us there in a much quicker way, and it makes our lives better. And that's exactly what AI is. And when applied to businesses, especially SMEs, the amount of time which equals money that can be saved is incredible.
What about issues of intellectual property? Yes, you're prompting the AI and it analyzes your prompt and spits out, a solution. Who owns that?
So, okay, firstly, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just the guy making the creative ads. So, from a legal point of view, I don't know all the answers. But what I can tell you is it is a very, very gray area that we are also trying to figure out today. And it does involve a lot of questions and a lot of, I suppose, doing things right and wrong and learning along the way. When it comes to intellectual property, it's very, very tricky because it's such a new phase for us, especially when it comes to, things like voiceover artists, for example, in the radio space. It's like, do I really need to, spend 2 weeks to get people together and buy muffins and get them in a room and go to a recording studio now and do all of those things when I can just plug it into AI and have my problem solved within seconds? So the thing is, when it comes to IP, it's like it's a very gray area. It very much reminds me of, when DVDs first came out and you had those guys on the side of the roads that came up to you with their little packets trying to sell you those copy DVDs, and it was like, am I doing something illegal or not? And then like 3 years down the line, it's like we all just streaming content. So it's a very tough one to answer, but there is a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes when it comes to that.
And usually, the legalities will follow the technology and they'll follow the usage. And this is, as you rightly pointed out, nothing new. This does tend to be the trend. The innovation goes ahead, and then after that, I guess all the policy that will speak and regulate that particular innovation. But let's talk about the costs of actually setting up AI structures in your business. You mentioned that, yes, it does save you time, and that time saves you money. But what are the levels of investment needed in order to put together a robust artificial intelligence infrastructure that your business can then leverage?
Well, it really depends. It really depends on what type of business you're in and what are the uses that you want it for. If you're looking at a very basic entry level sort of AI usage, you can start doing stuff for free. I was talking the other day, I think on Alex FM, and I was saying, to all the street vendors, this is now a tool that you could utilize at no extra cost, besides of obviously the data costs of being on the internet, to, really start creating content for yourselves, because you don't need, marketing teams and designers and copywriters anymore. English doesn't need to be your first language either. You can literally just use all of these tools to now enter a market that you never were before. But when it comes for more technical things, and I'll speak to my business, for example, we do creative advertising. And a lot of people think, okay, cool, like instead of now using a whole marketing strategy and doing a shoot, just put a prompt into, ChatGPT and out will come my marketing campaign. Unfortunately, the people who own these AI platforms who own these licenses, they're very, very clever as well, because they've started realizing that time is money as well, and they will now charge us a substantial amount of money to save us time for clients. So it really is kind of how long is a piece of string, but it does actually get expensive when you go really, really deep down the layer, but not nearly as expensive as it is to create that content yourself using the traditional methods.
I dare say, Darren, I do think it was a strategy on the part of the AI, companies. First, they introduce something new. It's absolutely free. Then you start seeing its value. Then you get hooked, and then you want more. And by the time you want more, you're quite willing to pay for it because you know the value that it's really bringing into your business. What would you highlight, Darren, as some of the key AI tools that small and medium enterprises first and foremost ought to know about and also ought to be using? Yes, we talk about ChatGPT, but are there others that perhaps you would say, if you are a small or medium enterprise, you've got to start using these particular technologies?
Well, look, you mentioned ChatGPT, and really, like, if you're listening now and you haven't used this before, and you're like, where do I start? That really is your starting point. Either ChatGPT, or if you want something a little bit more familiar, if you literally just type into Google and you say Google Gemini, it's basically Google's version of ChatGPT that will pop up on your Google page like you normally used to, and you just go from there. You just start asking the questions and doing what you want to do. And that is your starting point to using everything from image generation to writing copy to putting out strategies. And then, like you mentioned earlier, the more features you want, just like with any software, then the fees will start coming in depending on what you're asking it for. But when you're looking at other tools, again, really it is whatever industry you're in, whatever you're looking to do with the AI tool, there's tools for absolutely everything. So I can say to you, this is the tools that I use, but it might not be beneficial for you. But in my space, a really cool tool that we use is called Midjourney, which is incredibly helpful for companies like that are in the SME space, because what Midjourney does is it allows you to now create content and video content without the use of a designer, for example. So I can go in there and create a video of me, dancing on a table, for example, with a beach scene behind me. And in order to do that in the past, I had to either shoot that scene or animate that scene. Now I can just do it in a couple of minutes, either for free or for a small fee that I pay towards Midjourney every month for credits.
Are there courses that people you think should be going on, or can one really walk this as a solitary journey, try and fail, play around, see what works? Or would you recommend actually going for an AI for SMEs course?
There's definitely courses that just give me 1 second. My cat is jumping on a packet in the background. There's definitely courses that one can go on, but it really if you're a course person, then for sure, go on a course, find a course. But for me and all, my colleagues and peers in this industry, we just kind of got deep dived into it. You don't really need to do courses anymore because we have something called YouTube, guys. And I promise you now, anything you learn in the course is on YouTube. But what I did in the beginning, and I said this to a lot of people, I said, make a 24-hour rule. Because what a lot of people will do is they'll read a lot about of AI and ChatGPT, and they'll read headlines. Open the articles, read the articles to the end. Don't just read the headlines and then scroll to the next one. Read the articles to the end. And that's how your research starts. And when you find something that you really, really like, like you say, this tool is for me, I want to explore that tool, for example, then actually go and just record yourself, make a little logbook and spend 24 hours just focusing on that one thing. I mean, we go to the toilet 3-4 times a day and we scroll through social media. Rather use that time and play on your AI tool. And honestly, like if you just get 24 hours in, at the end of those 24 hours, you'll be able to decide, can you do it yourself or do you need a course?
Certainly. At least give yourself an opportunity. Thank you so much, Darren Morris, for taking us through that. Certainly AI can be a very worthwhile partner to have as you're building and growing your small business. So thank you for your time this afternoon.
Awesome. Thanks. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too. And take care of that cat. That's
hey.
That's Darren Morris. Take care, Darren. It's Darren Morris, who's a digital strategist and founder of The Lucky Hustle, demystifying artificial intelligence for all those small and medium enterprises. Certainly, it is a brave new world. It is here, and best we embrace it for maximum exposure and benefit. It's got exactly 4:52 Central African time. Let's take a look at what's happening in Cameroon. The government there and the government troops and the civilians are asking for an immediate departure of gold, iron ore and diamond miners, especially Chinese ones who've been running battles along Cameroon's eastern border with the Central African Republic. Civilians are accusing miners of destroying the environment and taking away their resources, while communities remain very poor and underdeveloped without basic infrastructure. Moki Kenzeka reports from Cameroon's capital, Yaoundé.
Civilians in Betari Oya village in eastern Cameroon near the border with the Central African Republic shout that all mining companies, especially those owned by Chinese, should leave their locality immediately. Cameroon government officials say more than 300 Chinese miners work in the area and only about 100 have authorizations to carry out mining activities. The Central African States military says it deployed several hundred troops to stop locals who are vandalizing equipment and even beating miners. Scores of miners have fled for safety to neighboring towns, the government says. Jean-Paul Genga is a traditional ruler in Betari Oya.
C'est un homme accueillant. Si nous sommes sur ce trône aujourd'hui, c'est grâce à notre président.
He says he is pleading with civilians to stop the destruction of property because the governments of Cameroon and President Paul Biya are already aware of the ordeals civilians in villages where gold mines are found are going through. The angry civilians say they will only stop protesting when the government gives them roads, schools, hospitals, and some basic facilities that they have not had within the past 50 years that minerals were discovered in their villages. Shulika Binla Silvanus is a civil society activist and former member of the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative Cameroon. He says civilians are protesting because they live in abject poverty while big mining companies harvest and sell multiple natural resources in their localities.
Apart from the mining, which is destroying the environment by anarchical cutting of trees to create space to dig, there's also the destruction of farmland and pushing these communities to focus on the remnants or the left out. We have school dropouts, we have unwanted deaths, we have polluted waters and environment, we have illnesses, waterborne diseases, airborne diseases, and insecurity.
Silvanus says high waves of corruption among government officials and mining companies deprive villagers of their wealth.
Almost 80% of the gold goes out of the country uncontrolled. And this has been identified in the Arab world where they have seen gold that is from Cameroon, but this gold has not been registered by the mining corporation. These areas are lacking medical facilities, educational facilities. Children will prefer reaching mining sites that are closer to their habitats than trekking kilometers to go to schools, which at times are not having teachers.
Locals say gold exploitation also leaves polluted holes and destroys vegetation and animal habitats. But some gold miners argue that they have provided roads, generators, and safe drinking water, but the means to extend the facilities to all villages is limited. In 2014, the government cracked down on what it said was the illegal export of gold and diamonds and suspended some foreign mining contracts. Reporting for Channel Africa, this is Moki Kinzeka in Yaoundé, Cameroon.
It is exactly 4:57 Central African Time as we wrap up Africa in Business for this day. And we have got Joelle. Les Joelle standing by for Vuesd Afrique. What do you have in store for us aujourd'hui?
Merci Tammy. Bonjour à tous les auditeurs de Channel Afrique. Alors sur Vuesd Afrique aujourd'hui, il sera question de la Guinée qui franchit une nouvelle étape dans son processus de transition. Nous verrons les détails dans la grande actualité avec notre invité en ligne. Nous parlerons également de la Côte d'Ivoire. Le parti présidentiel RHDP appelle le président Ouattara à se représenter à la présidentielle. Et au Cameroun, s'achemine-t-on vers une rupture entre le parti au pouvoir et son principal allié, les réponses dans la grande actualité de Vue d'Afrique. Merci de rester connecté. Merci, Tammy.
Merci. And that's how we come to the end of Africa in Business for this afternoon. I'm Tammy Ngubeni. Thank you to our entire team, our producer, Mabu Buloka, our technical operator, Katu Madava, and on social media, Nzako Mashaba. Until tomorrow, you have yourself a splendid day further.